Okay, part three really, but when you come back to my page, if you go on my newsfeed, this is going to be part two. So sorry about that, guys. I got booted off of Facebook. I don't know if it's because so many people are on the internet right now and what's going on, but I'm going to do my best to give you this transmission, and if it keeps disrupting me, I'm going to probably come back another day and share this this video with you all. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of time for people to come back on. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so many people are using the internet now. I think that just technology is collapsing. So I'm going to pick up where I left off in just a moment. If you're here, say hello so I know who's watching and who's joining. As I was saying in my other video, come with questions. Hello, Jeffrey. Come, with your questions, come with your comments. I'm here to be of service and support. I'm going to share, my thoughts on lockdown and where I was basically in my story was, when things started to feel more real for me and what was happening initially when this started to hit Italy and then North America. And where I had left off in my first part of my video before I got interrupted and disrupted on Facebook was really finding that something clicked internally within me, and this feeling of coming into a higher level of service and leadership and support for humanity. It was like a part of my being, even though I've been doing this work for so long, just really came online. And I channeled in that week. And when I channeled in that week to find out what's going on here, what's really happening here, one of the main things that came through for me was that this is a really important time of taking action and being there for one another. And, for so long, I think so many of us on these paths have been searching and seeking for a way for the humanity to awaken. We've been looking for, an opportunity for the masses to shift their consciousness, and it's been happening. We've been in the process of that, and it's been forcing us to change. And now this is one of those events that, has forcing everyone potentially to awaken to some degree and to start making some different choices. We're seeing things collapsing before our eyes. We are seeing events happening worldwide that we never thought would be possible. And we really have some important choices as human beings to make now that are literally going to create a new future moving forward. And that really sprung me into action. So for those of you who are, you have a gift, you have something that you want to share, whether it's creative or not, a service, you've been sitting on, making some sort of transition in your life or your career, this time period can be utilized to your advantage. I'm going to talk about some of the personal practices and how to navigate all of this time in just a wee bit. But for now, I'm just sort of sharing on my timeline of what's been happening for me and the messages that have been coming through to be in service to you. And so, this is not a time to hide anymore and to play small. This is not a time for you to dim your light, to not share your voice, whether people agree with it or not. This is a time to spring into action. This is a time for you to show up and to start creating a new world. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Fuck the perfection now. We are in desperate need on this planet for grounded, consistent, accountable, reliable, leadership that is not operating off of selfish agendas anymore. And how I've always said this in all of my work, because I've worked with many leaders and I've talked about this a lot in previous videos and my posts over the years, we are all leaders. You are a leader, even if you don't think that you are. Even if you don't define yourself as that, you are a leader because you are leading your own life. And every action and choice now that we're making is going to affect and have a ripple effect on some level on the planet. So everything that we're thinking, everything that we're feeling, everything that we're doing now is extremely important. If you've been one of those people in the camp of, I really want to see the world change and the planet has to, go in a different direction, and I really want to be here and help people, and I don't really know how I'm going to help people, and you've been overthinking it, and you've been trying to plot out how it's going to look, and I got to have this in order and that in order. Well, this is a time where it's like all that stuff has to kind of be pushed aside and you just got to go for it. And we're all moment by moment in this together, figuring this all out, because we are literally in a very unknown and uncertain time. And what I've been seeing happening, and this is one of the messages that I received as well, is that when we talk about all these different dimensions of consciousness, which is so much spiritual ego anyways, that's my opinion, we're seeing so many different people with different, and I've been tracking this too, because as of last week, I was feeling on fire. I've been in service. I was on calls with loved ones and friends and really there for my clients and just feeling pumped up about how I could show up for humanity right now and really, really be there for other people, and get out of my own way, and even through the process that I had been going through. And what was really illuminating for me as I was watching what was happening is that there was more division and more separation that's been happening, and a overwhelming amount. I don't know about you guys, but my nervous system has just been totally up to here after like 10 minutes of scrolling through social media lately. And it's been actually extremely difficult to find focus, to find groundedness, because there's so much information coming from so many different sources and so many different people. And I'm seeing actually a lot of division happening, especially in spiritual communities and those who are more conscious. And, I say this because what I really believe entering a higher level of consciousness is about is being able to look at and hold all the various experiences that other people are having at the same time as you. So somebody right now and where they are on their journeys could be in absolute fear and panic. You might not be in fear and panic. You might be in that love boat category, right? Where everything's love and light and, oh my gosh, I'm going to choose love. Great. Can you hold compassion for those other people? You might be in the conspiracy boat. And I'm going to say something about this because this is really important. For over 16 years, I've been following a lot of theories and agendas on what's happening on the planet, and agendas in a nefarious way, okay? I'm aware of a lot of the conspiracies. I'm aware of a lot of the theories. I've heard many different perspectives on why this is happening on the planet right now, why it's not real, why it's this, why it's that this is being installed and that's happening and all these things. And, many of it, a lot of it could be true. I don't know. But what I do know that's true is that there's a lot of people who are having a lot of different experiences. There's a lot of people dying and there's a lot of people who are sick. And we cannot stick our heads in the sand and we cannot stick our heads in the clouds, and we cannot be sitting here judging people's experiences around this. Because what happened for me last week, it was interesting. On Friday, my energy dipped and I actually kind of crashed, and it felt like what I used to have, which was adrenal burnout. It felt like an adrenal crash. And I started to get more connected to my inward self. I started to, step back a little bit from being in service to others. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to step back for a moment. I'm going to actually tune in. My body's telling me something. There's wisdom here. And one of the things that became very clear for me, and in actually even another conversation I had with a dear friend of mine in the last few days, is that right now, no matter what theory or what side or what stand we're on, we've got to stop living in division and judging people for their different experiences that they're having and what they're feeling and facing, because this is such an unknown and uncertain time for everyone. And I think that so many of us who are clinging and attaching to all kinds of different theories and stories and information right now, we're literally looking for safety and stability, and we're looking for a reason of why this is happening. So whatever camp you're in, whether you follow mass media or you don't, you think it's bullshit, you think that there's some takedown happening or 5G this or that, we're all trying to find an answer as to why this is happening right now at this time. All of us, even from a spiritual, even from an opportunist perspective. And the reason why we're so attached to being right and to finding these reasons and to clinging for answers right now is because we are literally going into survival mode. Literally, physically, in our physiology and our biology, and also we're thinking about the impact that this is having on our lives, economically, financially, our jobs, our careers, our businesses. Like, there's so much uncertainty right now. So as I've been observing this, I allowed myself to actually have greater compassion for everyone in these different camps of saying, wow, like, gosh, we are just really looking for answers right now. We're looking for the truth. We're looking for answers. But most importantly, we're looking for certainty in a time of such unknown and uncertainty. And fuck, we are uncomfortable sitting in uncertainty, right? Like, we all are to a certain degree. I mean, one of the things I've been having to train myself in for years and years and years is getting comfortable being in the unknown and living in that uncertainty and becoming more present. So one of the big pieces of advice is, whatever camp you're in, I get that you're trying to be of service if you're sharing different information and thoughts and perspectives. And I just want to encourage all of you, no matter where people are at right now, just meet them where they are. Meet them where they are. Like, this is what being human is about. Creating more love and humanity is not about saying, well, you're stupid for feeling this way, or this is what's really happening and you listening to that is crap. And, I'm going to go out and just live my life and I don't give a shit about how that affects everyone. This is not the time for any of that anymore, guys. All of our actions have consequences, and we have to have greater compassion and thoughtfulness and consideration and respect for each other. And this is part of being a leader. This is part of creating this new earth. We have to be able to hold different levels of consciousness and experiences and really work on not judging it. But judgment, I know, is a part of our human experience. So what happens when you're having, this experience, when you're feeling all these emotions? Well, yeah, I mean, what's real right now, what's been happening for me, and thank you guys for joining and watching, and thanks Senna for saying good job. And I know there was a comment up here from Natalie. She says, oh my God, so where I'm at, I love your encouragement, with a heart. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, comment, let me know, is this resonating? Is this landing? Is it not? Like, let's be a community here. As much as I know that I'm in a teaching state in this moment of sharing this, like, we're in this together. Like, let's have a conversation and a dialogue about this, and how can I support you during this time? So one of the things that's been very clear for me is, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, right now, no matter where you're at and what you're feeling, you've got to make sure that your basic needs are really being met right now. And that you are being taken care of. And I want to give each of you permission, especially those of you who are really putting yourselves on the front line or who are serving other people, and really, like, that's part of your work, that's part of your role. And first off, big, massive appreciation and love and gratitude for those who are putting their lives on the line every day in the healthcare system, doctors, nurses, health practitioners, people who are working in medical clinics and hospitals right now worldwide. And so much love and appreciation to those who are working in grocery stores and convenience stores and pharmacies and gas stations, and more of those essential services right now, who are literally risking their lives so that we can all be accommodated in some way, shape, and form. I want to just really take a moment, and if you could take a moment to connect to that, doesn't matter what side you're on, people are literally at work, risking their lives, no matter what they're feeling, whether they're feeling love or fear, they're showing up for others. Find some appreciation, please, for them, and really wrap them, hold them in love and prayer and compassion right now. Because some of us have the luxury, if we were working from home or we're able to stay home right now, in isolation, in quarantine, we have the ability to take some more of that time for ourselves and to really rejuvenate and recalibrate and reboot our systems. We have the ability to utilize this time and look at how we can pivot, look at what we can change, look at what we can add more of or take out of our lives. We have the ability to fill up our tanks, and some people don't right now. So I want to give you permission, if you're in that, camp right now, please take time every day to make sure that your basic needs are being met. And what that means is looking at your life, looking at yourself, and really being honest. Like, it's okay to not feel like you have to be in service every day. And this is something that I also, really realized, right away I sprung into action. I sprung into service because that's something that is so naturally a part of my being and my purpose. And once I hit that kind of that burnout on Friday, hello, Lisa, what I noticed is, oh man, like I'm also in some ways disconnecting from how I'm feeling at times by being in service. I'm ignoring what's coming up for me. And that's the thing, when we're so in service to others, sometimes we can also forget about ourselves in the process. So I want to give those of you who are really tending to other people right now, whether you're doing that professionally and personally, or personally right now in your lives, caring for your loved ones, like I want to give you the permission to allow yourself to unplug from always needing to help others and to be of service to others first. There's a responsibility, I think, sometimes that we feel that we've got to show up right now and just be a full service. And the consequence to that is sometimes breaking our own boundaries and not meeting our own basic needs. And if we really want to feel safe right now, which I think everybody is searching for, right? Our systems are kind of going in feeling unsafe, right? It's feeling like it's going in survival mode. If we're really going to find safety, honest to God, it's not going to be from just all the stuff that's happening out here. And most of the time it never is. It's temporary. And even if we're trying to plug into theories and concepts and ideas and information right now to find safety and stability in that, we're probably not going to get it right now. So we have to find it from within, and we've got to give ourselves permission and the gift to advocate for meeting our own needs first. So for those of you who are doing this work and you're helping others, check in. If it doesn't feel like you're able or have the bandwidth right now to be available for your loved ones or for other people, advocate for yourself and say, hey, you know what, I need a time out, or I need a self-care day, or you know what, today I'm going to take a day off. Usually I know I'm really hustling to get some work out there and to be of service to other people, but I'm not really feeling like I'm able to. It's okay. Right now, what's going to really move the needle forward on the planet is for each and every one of us to slow down and to be present and to really feel and be in touch with ourselves. It's not going to be just from speeding up and being in the old patterns that keep us, our systems are used to being in some sort of habitual pattern to find safety. And some of us find safety in being in service all the time. And there is a real purpose to that, soul purpose for many of us, and myself included, and we can't abandon ourselves in the process. So one of the things I had heard Lisa Nichols speak about a year or two ago, and one of the things that really stood out for me, she's an absolute unbelievable speaker. If you ever get the chance to listen to Lisa Nichols live, you need to, and find her videos on YouTube. She's a really, really well-known spiritual teacher, and she's incredible. But one of the things that really stood out for me in one of the talks she was giving was really about serving from the cup that's like the saucer that's overflowing. Not the cup, but the saucer. And this is a time to really fill that cup up as much as we need to, as often as we need to, but then to serve from the overflowing saucer, because we can't abandon ourselves in this process. So that's one of the things, because our nervous systems need a lot of tending to right now. And that's going to require frequent breaks from social media, from mass media, from television, from gaming, from the newspaper, from, being there for other people, even phone calls and FaceTime, which is, so important right now and such a blessing for all of us to stay in touch with all of the people that we love and care about. But your nervous systems hold the capacity for how much you're able to show up in the world for all of us. And right now they're getting really burdened and really taxed, especially if you're finding yourself being in some of that contraction. So it's very, very vital that you unplug from those devices and from those things and spend some good quality, nourishing time with yourself. And, I've said this for years. One of the things where I find the most certainty and stability is through my spiritual practices, because right now everything feels out of control, right? And we're doing everything we can to find bits and pieces of information that can make us feel in control. We're trying to find control through being there for others. We're trying to find answers so that we feel in control. And really right now, I think we have to accept the fact that we are living literally in the unknown in such an unpredictable time. And I don't say that from fear. I say that from a really neutral place. Like, it's okay that we don't know what might happen tomorrow. It's okay that we feel the way we're feeling right now. It's okay to not feel like we're in control of everything, because I think us being and allowing ourselves to be in this contraction right now, what I know for sure is that on the other side of contraction is expansion. And so we have the ability to expand more and ascend into something bigger than what we've been in. But if we keep doing the things that we've always done, or we're trying to find ways in which you can find safety that's not actually true, it's like it's taxing our whole system, including our nervous system. Yes, exactly. We are in a state of shock, and our nervous systems are quite literally stunned right now. So now more than ever, guys, you're going to have to adapt to the changes that are happening. And, you know, if your schedules, your routines are all out of balance, because I can attest to this for sure. I was in such an incredible, I've been doing an optimization plan for my life with my coach, and it was going so smoothly, right? Everything was going so well. I was really in a regimented, habitual pattern with a lot of different things in my life for this year. And then all of this happened and everything just went upside down. Our lives have literally been turned upside down to varying degrees, right? And, you know, at first I was noticing, I was like, gosh, I just want to get back into my routines. I just want to keep doing those things I was doing, and getting up early and working out and doing all these things. And then I noticed that I actually needed more sleep. Then I noticed that I couldn't actually be of high level service every single day. I couldn't do a live video last week. Last week I made a promise in one of my posts, I'm going to do a live video later this week. I couldn't. I didn't. And I had to honor myself. And so we have to adjust ourselves in this transition right now and cut ourselves some slack. Like, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to adjust to what's happening. But most importantly, to be present to what's happening in here, to what you're feeling, to what your body's telling you, to what you're noticing. Because we can't start to pivot and start to think about thriving and succeeding and getting out of this if this here is not in alignment and is not being tended to. So if your tendency is to focus out there and to bring a lot of your attention and to seek answers outside of yourself right now, I want to really invite you into going in here and slowing down and listening and acknowledging and loving and holding without the judgment, without trying to change anything, how you're feeling. Because so many of us are riding the waves of our own emotions and what our nervous systems are experiencing. And for those of you who are empaths and intuitives and sensitives like myself, we're also picking up on everything that's happening in the collective. So we've got to, let ourselves off the hook a little bit here and be very gentle and kinder to ourselves right now as we go through this shift that we're all experiencing. So that's one of the most important things that I want to share in this. And then the next piece is, a lot of us are really worrying, and rightfully so, about the economy. Like, we're in a health crisis, a medical crisis worldwide, but we're also in an economic crisis right now. And so many people are living in the uncertainty of how they're going to pay their bills, their rent, their mortgage, how they're going to be able to, if they're going to have a job. Many people have been laid off, businesses are shutting down. So I want to encourage, as you grieve and let go of the way life has been right now, because I think we also have to honor that and give space for that grieving and mourning. Literally, like, there's people who are dying, but we're also letting go of how our lives have been. We cannot pivot and start to think and respond in a conscientious way, in a conscious way, right? If we don't allow ourselves to be in that grieving, in that mourning, if we don't allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel, we cannot respond in a way where we're going to create and build a new paradigm for ourselves on this planet if we're not actually allowing ourselves to fully let go of what has been. And a lot of us have to go through that right now, and we are in that uncertainty. But what will happen eventually is, and this is my intention and like my hope for all of us, is that at some point we can utilize after we've gone through that mourning and that grieving and that letting go, and we're not in a reactive state, but more in a responsive state, we can start to get creative and think outside of the box. You know, we've all been saying for so long, the systems are collapsing, the world is crumbling, you know, all these illusions have to come down. I get that, but now this is an opportunity to let those things collapse and to grieve what worked and what didn't, and the habit of comfort in that. And then we also have to start to look at how we can pivot, how we can help and support one another. When we talk about building a new earth and a new paradigm, well, what does that really actually look like? I believe that this is part of that transition. And at some point, we're going to have to start looking at what this new world we're building all together has to look like, and what we can leave out from the old paradigm that is not in service and support to humanity and the planet and to all the sentient beings on this planet. And start to have some different ideas. And that's going to require us to fully disengage from what has been at some point, and then to really allow ourselves to step into the possibility of what's new. Because now more than ever, in this opportunity and in this crisis, right? Because there's the shadow, there's the crisis, and then on the other side of that, there's a shadow, right? There's two sides to every coin, you know. So there is a gift, there is an opportunity here, and it's also a really horrific and terrible time that we're in. But in that, once we have allowed ourselves to grieve and to let go of what's been, we have the ability to step into and creatively expand our minds and our beings and really get clear, like, what is the evolution that's available for me now? Because many people have gotten complacent and stuck in how things have been, and we're comfortable in that. And I know it's hard. It's really fucking hard to change. You know, that's part of the thing. We're being forced to change right now. This is forced change and transformation on the planet. And if you're somebody who can really allow yourself to pivot, you can thrive and set up your life moving forward in a different way that is actually more in alignment with who you are and more in alignment with the direction your soul is going. So there's a real opportunity here to transition in this period, right? The best way you can, to really making and living a new life for yourself and for your loved ones. And, you know, of course, we can't just do that right away, because we're going to be bypassing letting go of the old and letting go of the comfort and letting go of the known. So in the unknown, I want you to know there's possibility. The vastness of the unknown, there's creative energy, there is solution, there is insight and inspiration and magnificence and love. There's so much available there. And we get to connect to that energy. We get to see it from that perspective when we've allowed ourselves to turn inward and slow down and really feel what's happening in here. Because feelings are always changing. Our thoughts are always changing. We are always changing. And if we allow ourselves, if we don't resist the changes that are happening, and we start to move with what the energy is showing us, we have a really beautiful chance of creating something new on this planet. Of creating something new for ourselves that brings us more joy and fulfillment, because that really is ultimately what we are all wanting to experience. And yet we've been trying to find so much of that outside of ourselves and in doing the same things we've been doing. So use this time wisely for yourself. I've said this in another post, you know, use this time to connect to your soul, to God, to universe, to spirit. Use this time to connect with your loved ones. Use this time to come together versus apart. And yeah, you know, this is that PSA time where it's like, guys, you know, this is a virus, you know, something's happening here on the planet. People are being affected. People are dying. You know, people are putting their lives on the line every day. And we have to really think about our choices and our actions now. You know, stay home. If you can stay home, please self-isolate, quarantine, socially distance, you know, stop disobeying and pretending that this isn't happening, because, you know, we start to wake up when we realize that it's actually close to home. And this is something that's affecting people of every age group now, not just people who are older or who are autoimmune compromised. You can be asymptomatic and walking around with this and not know that we are, you know, having this contagious virus be spread from person to person that we're interacting with. Be considerate of others. Ask how you can support people in your community, each and every day. Pick up the phone, let go of those grievances and the resentments, and start to soften where you can and find love within you. You can use this time to be empowered, but I'm of an absolute, in the absolute belief system that we can't shift into that unless we're really present to what's so and what we're feeling right now. And for God's sake, people, whatever theory you're holding right now, just have some compassion and human kindness towards everybody's experiences that they're having. Please, 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 let's stop separating ourselves from one another and making a person right or wrong. Because really, at the end of the day, nobody really knows what's happening right now. Maybe a few people might. We don't really know the grand purpose in all of this, but we certainly have our place in all of this, and we certainly have our responsibility and duty to be with ourselves, to get closer and more connected to ourselves, and to really find our alignment and our truth in this, and use this time to really become a more loving, kind, aligned human being. So, this is not meant to be like spiritual fluff. I'm not about that. I'm all about strategic results that you can utilize here and now. So how that's going to land in your life is going to be up to you. You get to make that choice. I just wanted to share my thoughts on what's been happening here in lockdown. Lots of stuff. I've been going through my own range of emotions and exhaustion and all of that. But you know what? I get up every day and I do my best to show up for myself and for the world. And that's, the most I can hope for at this time, while caring for myself and the people that are closest to me. So with that being said, I'm going to turn to you guys and see if you have any questions. Is there anything you want support around right now? How can I be of service to you? And while you think about these things, if you're just tuning in now, there was a part 1 where it got kind of interrupted, and this is part 2 video. You can check those videos out. I've been talking for a little while here, so if you're just joining, you can come back to the beginning of the video when I've uploaded it here to Facebook in just a few moments. Like the question is, how may I serve you right now, and what are you needing? And in this time period, it was interesting. I had been having an idea for a long time to put something new out, and I'd been in resistance. And through this process, actually last week, my soul forced me, my higher self forced me into creating something new, which I'm going to be revealing very soon. I'm really excited about it, and you'll have to wait to find out more. I want to share it when it's ready to come out, but that's in the process. And I'm thinking about creating a free masterclass for entertainment industry professionals, visionaries, creatives, which make up a large portion of those of you who follow me, on how to thrive in times of chaos. And I'm thinking of launching that within the next couple weeks. It's going to be free. It'll be over Zoom. So I'll be posting more information as I develop that and work on that. And also, of course, tracking how I'm feeling in the process of this, because my tendency and my habit is just to jump into service. And I'm really being conscious of honoring my needs and my boundaries. And I want to be a leader in that for all of you. So stay tuned for that. Carrie Ann says, thank you for sharing. You're so welcome. My pleasure. Natalie says, thank you. And Phoenix says, thank you. You're so welcome, guys. So, if you're not wanting to put out any questions here, feel free to PM me. If you want to find out more about my work and how I could potentially support you during this time, please head over to vanessapetronelli.com. Sign up. You can get my free Amplified Your Wealth guided meditation on there. Stay in touch with me on social media. And, if you feel like this message was important and worth sharing with, people in your community, in your network, please feel free to share this video. I mean, it's always so helpful to get this message out into the world. Sharing is caring, as I like to say in my live videos. So thank you so much for being here, guys. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Please be safe. Wash your hands. Take care of yourself. Please be conscious of your actions, your thoughts, your words, your posts, how much information you're taking in. Care for that body and nervous system. Honor other people's experiences, and keep your immune system boosted and high with lots of supplements and vitamins and all of the self-care and spiritual practices that you possibly can honor and gift yourself right now. And And let's just take this one day at a time. Let's be present and let's be here for each other, because we are literally all in this together. And now more than ever, we need to stick together and we need to be strong leaders within ourselves first. So I love you. Take care of yourselves, and I will be back soon with more posts and messages for you all. Much love.